Welcome again to the Canvas Experiences presentation series, the third in the series. We have just two more left after this. But today we have with us Angel Duin and Emily Stull Richardson. And they're going to talk a bit about UMN's LMS journey. Before we do that though, just a brief overview as I do pretty much every time. If you don't know a lot about Canvas, Canvas is an LMS just like Moodle. It handles things in a little bit different way. And so the university is exploring which system may be able to best serve our needs. And there's been a lot of questions about how that decision is going to be made. So just a brief overview, there is a group that will make a recommendation on whether we go with Canvas or stick with Moodle for now. And that group is ULTA, the University Learning Technology Advisors Committee, and just a brief reading here of their charter. This charter defines the shared mission, guiding principles, membership, and responsibilities for ULTA. Actually, that wasn't what I wanted to read. The committee is composed primarily of faculty members, as well as representatives from the Provost's Office, Academic Leadership, and the Office of Information Technology. And this group, they review a variety of technologies that may be instituted system-wide. If you want to learn more about them, there's a lot more to learn, along with their membership list. It is available at ulta, that's ulta.umn.edu. And I think with that, there's also quite a bit of information in all the emails I send out. So if you never scroll down to the end of my emails, you probably want to. There's a lot of information down at the bottom. So probably do that. But without further ado, I'll let Angel Duin and Emily Stull Richardson take this away.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this introduction. We also want to make sure to let you know that two students in my current class in which we are piloting the Canvas learning management system, we are working to have them join us, also via a Google Hangout, Jessamina Bloom and Caitlin Shirk. Caitlin Shirk is a senior in technical writing and communication in the College of Liberal Arts. She's also minoring in sociology. And she says it's been very interesting to combine these two areas because it's given me the ability to think critically about how communication and the modes in which we communicate influence social patterns and interactions. She currently works in the Aerospace Engineering and Mechanics Department here at the U as a communications assistant and does a great deal of web and online markup work. Jessamina Bloom has her PhD in cell and molecular biology from the University of Pennsylvania. And while she was in that process of studying, she realized how engaged she was with education and with teaching and with pedagogy, and especially with experiential and immersive learning. And so she's now currently working in our Department of Biology, Teaching and Learning. And her goals, she's also in this course because she is also pursuing the graduate certificate in technical communication. And her goals are to learn about the plethora of tools and strategies used for digital communication and how to use those based on project goals and audience. This next slide is just a quick link, because I assume this will be available, to a 5-minute video, thanks to the College of Liberal Arts and its help, on this graduate certificate program. And I mention it because this course, this Writing with Digital Technologies 4662, is an online course, okay, and the 23 students. And so that has an added dimension as we think about the use of the Canvas system in this way. Emily, do you want to add anything?
No, although we should introduce.
Okay, a little bit more? Okay. Okay, this next slide, how many here have seen earlier versions of this or perhaps this one before? Okay, and I see a number of familiar faces in the audience, and thank you for being here. And we have been, a number of us have been on this journey together before. When did each of you join this journey? Can I go over here? Is that going to be okay? When did you join this journey? What year? Was anybody here joined it before 1997? Yes, Bob,
so
we
there's
did.
at least one in the audience
And
before 1997.
Pardon?
Oh, I'm just speaking so the online people
Oh,
can.
okay.
here.
And, okay, and it was very interesting. We had to build our own. And we built our own. And as we can see, in 1997, in the green, homegrown, you know, it's absolutely going there as well. Well, then, why did the university, we had the WebCT. How many here used WebCT? Okay, so a few more of us were here and working then. And then Blackboard is just this giant gulp of buying up different companies. At least that's what some of us called this at the time. And so that's why we had this conversation around, you know, do we go to Moodle or stay with, or go to Blackboard, because WebCT was going to be no more. And so, when we have this conversation about Canvas or Moodle, you know, I can't help but think back, and I'm sure you are too. And we had an academic technology advisory group, or whatever the name was, the Ulta-ish thing, and very, very helpful and important as we went through this iteration. But there also was another factor that really fed into that decision at the time, and it was one of cost. Blackboard was going to charge a significant amount, and Moodle was open source. And so now we come, and Canvas enters, and you know, in the more recent time frame up there. And why are we piloting Canvas? Why are we piloting Canvas? Unison. Tell me about why Unison. Tell me about it, Jane.
Unison is a consortium of CIC schools who are partnering together to take things like Canvas and use the statistics from it in a cooperative way, put them all into a common database so that everyone can learn from everyone else's experience and also share course designs and things like that.
And it's also part of the open source, you know, as you said, and right. And so these are factors that there are many factors to consider. But okay, as my children sometimes say, in a previous life, Mom, you served in these administrative roles, and it was, you know, you were really looking at it was at the initial stages of Canvas, and very excited about the analytics potential and the student learning analytics. So when we think of that, the ultimate importance of student success, how is this learning management system helpful with that? And then how do we put a parameter around what are the key research kind of schools that we want to partner with and work with to, you know, to really go into that space intentionally. So that's how I've understood some of Canvas. But my knowledge and that thinking, that's 5 years old. I'm serving as a professor these last set of years, and I'm very much enjoying the partnership with the Liberal Arts, Technology, and Innovation Services, because I want to really thank them as well, because my work with Canvas and our presentation today wouldn't be possible without you guys. Okay, so we go to the next slide. I only share this because I just, you know, we all Google things. I thought, well, where does Canvas and Moodle fall in the 25 best learning management systems out there? Moodle is not mentioned. Canvas, you can see where it comes in there, the red. Now, they also look at how mobile is the system, how secure is it. You know, they have a number of other factors. Student success is not in that list. Okay, this is also a compilation of learning management systems used across many, many industries. Okay, so it's a very broad swipe. The comparison. This is the Moodle site that, and part of our comparison here today is this is my Moodle site, the most recent time when I taught international professional communication in spring of this year. And so you get the gist, and everyone here is very familiar with Moodle. So we will you know, move on. The journey to teach with Canvas began in the summertime then for me, or late May, I believe. I wrote the proposal, was accepted to teach and so on. I want to thank Chris Scruton. I feel like this is a series of thank yous because it is, because it's a village to get these things accomplished. And this is just one email message that I received. I just want to put a plug in. These were excellent webinars. I learned a great deal from them. How have others taken these? No one else here? Okay. Well, way to go, Tony. You're going to get a few more people. But excellent, so that paired with Lattice and help was a great combination. Tell us about Lattice.
Sure. So I'm Emily Stull Richardson. I work with Lattice, which stands for the Liberal Arts, Technologies, and Innovation Services. And we're a unit located within the College of Liberal Arts, supporting research, teaching with technology, software development, and supporting that with some infrastructure. So we're kind of a well-rounded unit. And the TEL team, the Technology Enhanced Learning team that I work with, has been partnering with Central and CLA faculty during the Canvas pilot to get our kind of dig in and get our hands dirty and find out more about what Canvas is really like to work with.
And it was because of your help that this layout came to be.
Yeah, so we, Anne teaches her course in a very kind of modular, larger chunks or units, not necessarily exactly weekly format. So we structured the front page of Canvas site to reflect those modules, and it's kind of hard to see on the screens here, but there are 5 main components to her course that then break down into more information.
For how many of you is this the first time you're seeing the layout of Canvas? Okay, so this is the instructor view, and so you can see the things that are more active versus the one thing. Let's go from left to right. That first left red menu. There are things that have been somewhat confusing for me. Dashboard is just a list of your different classes. It's not necessarily a dashboard for that class. You get to your analytics over on the right. There you go, that view course analytics. The things, I can choose what is dark and available to students here. Some of the other things on the red, I guess I should just complete. Groups has been a very strong link for me because it helps me to put students together very quickly into groups for quick discussions, maybe even just, right. Okay, you've logged, I have mail. Okay, I just checked this earlier, but students were in the process of watching a virtual conference, and so there's been some issues with the Adobe Connect on that end of the conference, so it might be another question. I have not used the Commons, but my understanding of it is that I can share my work to the Commons. I can have work from the Commons that I, in turn, use. Obviously, all of these that are in dark in the next menu, I use a great deal. And it's a little confusing that some of them are whited out because you use files a great deal, you use outcomes a great deal, So I don't always know why some are dark and some are not. I always know I'm in a pilot and respect that and thank the university for allowing me to pilot test. I needed a place for questions. You can see how I added it. The students really, this is a distance, it's an online class. They appreciate the YouTube videos, have a space for that. Over on the right, this is something quite different for me. It tells me all the grading I still need to do. It looks like it's more than it really is. For students to submit something, and in writing studies, you always have multiple drafts, okay? But I have to state the due date as that first date for them to be able to submit. So Canvas tells them with every subsequent uploading, of anything, that's late. When it's really not. The late date would be the very end, a month later. And so that is, I keep my running list of things I would love to change or would hope would be addressed. And that, and that's one of them. But as we'll get to in a minute, The peer review is a strong component of the course, but we'll talk about that in a minute. That is just fine. Did you want to say any more about the platform?
No, I'll just say a few things about the platform. I think some things are not as intuitive, like you were talking about the grayed out links. So students can't have access to those, but Anne can. She has access to the files, but it's grayed out because students can't see that. But it's not necessarily intuitive on the instructor side. That's the reasoning behind it. And I think that was about it.
Okay. Here's my hope. We are in an active learning classroom right now, right? I mean, it's the round tables, and it's structured. Yes, there's somewhat of a, front, so to speak, here, but it's very, similar to that layout. What is active? What is our plan for active online learning? And so my hope is that with as we use Canvas or whatever LMS we decide, and as this evolves, we will keep pushing on what does it mean to have immersive content, engaged conversation, and relevant collaboration. Now you could say we want that in all classes. Great, but I'm thinking especially what does that mean? How do you make that active in the online area? And so we're going to talk a little bit about those three and share some of our thoughts. Please interject questions at any time. We should have said that earlier. And also just how does evaluation work in this system, and this analytics hope, is it for real? And so we have I looked at this next slide here is just looking at content. And when you look at the content on the left, the Moodle course from the spring, content on the right, different course, but do you see much difference? Do you see much difference?
No, they're laid out fairly similarly.
And so I think we have a major challenge in all of the learning management systems I've used to date, immersive content. So versus a student, I click on that PDF or to that link, I read it, I use it, I listen to Anne's voice, and we, and then we discuss over here. Versus how might we become more engaged? How might it be more responsive, more dynamic? In technical communication, we would say dynamic design instead of static. And both still seem to have more of a static design rather than dynamic. Knowing this student, okay, you read this, you might also read this. Here's this, here's a critical link about where what you are examining right now. And maybe the designers of Canvas are thinking that way.
Well, I know that one of the pieces of the Unison Consortium is a program called Engage, which is looking at content and as well as analytics. We considered it for your course, but it couldn't do what we had wanted it to. Okay. Just working with PDFs and websites. Anne's course uses information from a lot of different sources, and so we were looking for something that where students could be active within the content. So we also looked at hypothesis, but this was a course with a really high learning curve in many respects, not only with Canvas, but also with the content itself, writing technologies. So we decided not to try hypothesis as well as Canvas, and
there are many new things in play here. Okay. This I'd mentioned earlier, just the importance of videos and YouTube and the ease of embedding these throughout is something that's been very important in the previous course and in this one. But okay, so we addressed immersive content just a little bit. Now let's talk about how do you get an engaged conversation. Again, on the left was from the spring, the Moodle. On the right is actually, a very quick screenshot from right now in this current course. Observations.
far as how to get into the threads, or is that shrunk to fit?
Now, we have condensed the threads versus, if you just hit expand, they would just, they would expand and you would see just you would see the postings. How many use the course or the discussion options in Moodle? I mean, it's an integral part for an online course, especially. This is where you have class, and you really dig into things. We have a couple of students that I hope are connected on the Google Hangout that we're working on here. But this is one place where in Moodle you could have a threaded discussion, and at least I haven't figured out how. We haven't figured out how to do threaded with Canvas.
They are threaded. It's just not visible. I mean, the difference in the thread. I mean, it's millimeters indentation, whereas in Moodle, it's much easier to see the thread and easily scan and find the comment or the response that you're looking for. And then the other piece was that Canvas doesn't allow for visible groups when you're grouping students for discussions. So if you want students to discuss amongst their groups, but also see their colleagues, their classmates' discussions, that was not possible within Canvas. They either have to be all in one group or say, here's group A, just make sure you don't post in B, C, or D's conversation. There weren't quite as many nuanced options in the discussion as Moodle had.
Right. Yes,
You want
Steve.
questions now or later?
What do you prefer in these?
So I use the
Anytime.
Q&A forum in Moodle. Is there a corresponding version in Canvas?
Please do.
Yeah, the question is, the instructor uses the Q&A forum in Moodle, and is there a corresponding feature? And we haven't used it, but I believe there is. I think there are other people in the room used it.
Anyone use that? I'll explore for it, okay? But any other questions right now? Yes?
So, how is grading for us compared to how it was in Moodle?
Oh, okay. Much better.
The question is how is grading forums compare in Canvas than it does in Moodle?
And I'll point that out when we get more to the evaluation part. But the short answer, better. Better, easier versus my trying to scan and figure out who wrote what where. I can pull up just that forum, and I can go by student and see all of that person's posts. And then and I do that and come in and then can comment. The comment feature is much better. Yes.
Have confirmed that you can set it up that users must post before seeing replies,
Oh, okay.
if that's what you wanted for the Q&A.
Okay. Can we, Caitlin and Jessamina, are you still here with us? Hello.
There we go. Let's try again.
Hello. Can you hear me? We hope. Hi.
I'm seeing that this is muted. So can you, maybe we can hear you
Yes,
now.
we can hear you now. Hello, Caitlin. Can you hear me? I can see you. Can you hear me? You've all been here, right?
Can you hear them?
I can hear.
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Wonderful. Okay, Caitlin, would you please share, well, first of all, thank you for being here, and would you please just share some of your observations about your use? You can't hear. Okay, we'll ask Jess. Can you share your, Jess, can you hear me? They can't hear me. Okay, but I can hear them. Okay, we'll do it this way.
You can hear me? Okay. Okay, cool. So in terms of Canvas versus Moodle, I would say that Canvas has definitely served my needs a lot better than Moodle has in the past. I think overall Canvas is a lot less clunky and it just has a nice clean design. I really love the right-hand column that has the things to do and what's coming up and recent feedback and stuff. That's a quick just place to check for everything I need usually. Really love the peer review feature. It's really helpful. I don't think, or it's really nice that we don't have to like email each other our work and everything. It just kind of like pops up and it's right there ready to go and we can put our feedback right in. And then I also like how all the announcements that Professor Duin puts in gets emailed to us right away. So we, I don't know, are like notified when she posts something new. In terms of cons, I think my biggest thing that I don't like is, especially in the discussions, there can be a ton of scrolling because the content that is the oldest comes up at the top all the time. So when I want to go see a new discussion post, it takes a long time to scroll down. But yeah, beyond that, I'm taking, this is my second online class in the Canvas application. Another one of my classes is also in the pilot test. So I have had a lot of experience with it this semester and, had 3 years of Moodle experience now. So given that, I think I definitely have found a lot more pros with Canvas than cons.
Okay. Oh, there she is.
I have a lot of the same impressions that Catlin does. So this is actually my first online course that I've taken. And I'm taking 2 online courses right now. One is actually in the Moodle interface and one is a Canvas interface. And I actually don't have a lot of experience with Moodle either. So I'm kind of as baseline as you get, I suppose, for this. And I really also found that the Canvas interface was more intuitive to use than the Moodle interface. There are a few bugs I think that could be worked out pretty easily. I think the left-hand navigation is kind of confusing depending on where you are within the Canvas site. So if you're in like a discussion page, then the menu changes. And I found that to be kind of confusing. And I couldn't find an easy way to get return to the home page for that course. I had to go kind of out of just the course in general and come back into the course to get back to the home page. And there might be a better way to do that, but I didn't find it. I also like the peer review. I thought that was a really effective way to do peer review, kind of like how Catlin was saying, where everything is there and you don't have to download separate files. And you can keep a record of feedback. I thought was also really useful. I also liked the audio feedback that was given to us, I think, in our first assignment. I thought that was kind of neat, actually, and that, as an instructor, I can see where that would be super efficient to do it that way, instead of making inline comments the whole time. So I thought that was a neat feature. And I also like the way that the discussions are set up. I really appreciate the first kind of, I guess I'll call it an intro portion of the discussions where we can get kind of a direction of where we're going, and an overview of what we're supposed to be discussing, and it's not an actual post within the discussions themselves. And it seems like that can be changed and edited as we go, so it's not a static kind of post. But I thought that was really useful. And juxtaposing that to the way the Moodle discussions are run in the other course, I like the way that the Canvas is handling that a little bit better. So I think that's my overall impressions, so thanks.
Okay. Oops. Try my best with this computer. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now. You'll have to log back into this one too. In terms of the other technologies that we use, obviously we use Google Hangouts. I want to thank all of you who support WebEx. I use it a great deal because I can, many more students can join. We can have multiple windows up. We can be chatting about things. And we use that within each module for a special session to talk about the assignment for that module. So people can get, all of the comments and questions handled, very soon at the beginning. If we had time, I would also have you listen to John, his Flipboard or Flipgrid, 60 seconds on it, and Alicia's as well. But very similar comments to what Jessamina and Caitlin have shared. So we've talked about immersive content, and we've talked about engaged conversation. But what about relevant collaboration? How do you help your students share their documents and work together? Is this familiar? I'm assuming it. So in the spring, in that course, sometimes things would be in individual groups. Sometimes it would be open to all. But we would have, we would use the Google Docs and folders as our repository. Now they have talked about the peer review. I had 23 one-on-ones last week, and to a student, every student appreciated this. I didn't have anyone who said, "Oh, it's terrible," So, so to take a moment on it, this is how it looks. Okay, now what is the assignment? This happens to be our Module 3 assignment right now. It's on XML files and so on. We're not going to go into detail about the assignment. But in each case, I can create a grading rubric. I don't have to, but I can. And then they can click on longer descriptions and get that. But then when they come in, the system, you can just, with one click, it will assign peer reviews. And so every student who has turned in a paper then is paired with someone else. And I thought, well, I need to assign those because I know these students now. And I thought, I wonder if I can trust the Canvas system. And with that assigning, and it's turned out that random has been very good because I've thought, oh my, I never would have thought of that one. And it was maybe a great discussion and comment. So, so it's like with any of these systems, you wonder how much hands-on, how much should I let it help me with that design. But in this case, the student is uploading these documents. The peer reviewer can come in and just can click from one to another, can download them if they want. In some cases, if it's an HTML file that needs to be with its CSS or whatever, then they have to do, or if it's an index file with its CSS, they have to do that to see the site or whatever they're working on. But in this particular case, then the student completes their ratings. I did not take a larger screenshot to show you the bottom of this, which also includes the comment boxes. And when Jessamina mentioned she appreciated the audio recording, I love it. I mean, before I would have to exit that program, go out here, pull up the student's paper, do my video, save it over here, send it to, it at least had, that's maybe stretching it, but I'm sure it had at least 4 steps versus 1. You're inside here, click on it, do your video. They have that and can click on it. Any comments?
Does it handle both audio and video feedback in the program, or is it just the audio?
It handles both.
So the question was, does it handle audio and video feedback?
I just don't like myself just staring at them. It's just something about it. Okay, it was a personal decision that way. Yeah. But this is basically the gist of the peer review interface. It is also the same interface for grading. Okay, in this particular case, the paper, but a similar interface if I were going through the postings a student had done in a course forum.
Is the grading just
the average of everybody who graded that paper, or is there also components for like how effective their grading was? I mean, to give a score to the students for completing the reviewing?
I have that. I always have the peer review as a certain number of points as part of that, and it's there. You know, in this case, there's two components: how complete was their work, ready for the peer reviewer, how well did they do on their own peer review for someone else. But then I comment on that here.
And you created those scores? How well they did review
Yes.
everybody else? Okay.
So the question was, is there an option to have
Sorry.
two separate scores for the peer review grade, one for the assignment that the student submits, and then one for the feedback that they're giving their peer? And the answer was no, and just combine them. Just one assignment, she knew how she divvied up the points, how much for peer review, how much for the actual assignment.
Two questions from online regarding peer review. So first, are you to allow students to complete peer reviews anonymously?
Okay, and
Do I have to repeat the question?
so the question is, can you complete peer review anonymously? We haven't used that, but I'm pretty sure you can.
Yes, you can do it anonymously. I mean, that's one of the options within Canvas. I've chosen for it not to be anonymous. But that would be a good, I usually send out different times a Google form with a number of questions. You know, I've heard this kind of feedback. Would you like some of this or some of that? That would maybe be an interesting direction to go.
And then the second question, does Canvas allow for the average of peer review scores to be used for grading?
Question is, does Canvas allow for the average of peer review scores to be used for grading? And I don't, have you?
You could set it up that way. I have opted to just have one peer review person on each assignment, but you could have obviously 4 or 5 and then take an average. Okay, but I paused because I'm sure my responses are maybe only 90% correct. It's based on my use, and I always feel like in these systems, they can do all of this, and I just have this little snippet, you know, but I want to maybe go here, but then maybe it does this instead, and so that's the importance of the partnership. I mentioned analytics, and so this is one of the, for me to, I can look very quickly at the course as a whole, and so you can see how the activity at the beginning, boom, everyone was there, it went down just a little bit, and you know. But remember when I told you about that late issue? That you have to, I mean, everything's going to look late because when it's not, and so hence the submissions and the late and the missing on time, you know. But the missing, then I go back into individual students and look at their analytics. And so in this case, any observations that you have as a comparison between these two students? If you know, you're skimming through your students and their work. Knowing full well that late issue on submission, so you can't pay attention to that quite as much.
Small, but it looks like the student on the right is more engaged, more on time, submitting drafts close together.
Exactly right. So in the case with the student on the left, you know, you engage, and I did. I saw, hey, what's going on here? You know, I'm not. You're like, where are you? And boom, engagement, and then it went down again. So I'm like, come on, you know. Our life. Also, the communication, you know, am I communicating, but is the student also communicating back? So it's my communication with the student, but does the student responding? You know? And now, this is just obviously the email and the specific communication within the Canvas system. Obviously, we receive email messages in our Google, you know, I mean, so it's not representative of absolutely all of it. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
No, just that I think Canvas offers a much more scannable, easily, kind of easy snapshot of the analytics, you can get similar information from Moodle. It just takes a little bit more effort or planning if you're using the progress bar or activity completion or course completion.
Right. I was not able to have this kind of information so quickly from Moodle. So it's something I've appreciated. So again, the three concepts, three directions for what I hope we can all co-develop as an active online learning system. The shot on the right is previous colleague, Kim Thomas-Pillai. She's now taken a position at Boston Scientific. But she was working with Anne, right? Anne Fandry? You were working with her using Docent. And is anyone else using Docent to try to get into an immersive content?
It is more geared toward K-12, but it would be great if more people used it because it's a neat tool.
The comment is that Docent is more geared towards K-12, that it has potential, but right now maybe not appropriate for the university level.
We're adding interactive content into your text-based artifacts in your course.
But I would love to learn options or more about how do we help, again, that immersive content need and best directions for all three of these. Now, I include this, I guess, as a semi-plug, but anyway, I have a small team, Wearables Research Collaboratory. Yes, we study wearables, but what's very interesting is it's evolved and we're studying quite a bit of the impact of virtual reality on teaching and learning. And what I'm finding is that is incredibly immersive. And so how might we think, I just throw this out as something for us to think about, how do these different learning platforms and what are we going to connect them to? So what do we mean by immersive? And how might we help our students encounter those different environments? But bottom line, do you want to share our scorecard?
Oh, sure. So Anne and I talked a little bit about this, and it was reflecting Anne's experience using Moodle and Canvas, and that both of them, the content delivery was really pretty much similar. There wasn't any huge striking difference in how it delivered content. That Moodle was a little bit better with its discussion and forum options, and then Canvas, however, with its peer review and the Crocodoc feature, being able to add comments right there within, or seemingly within the LMS, and adding peer review was, as you heard from the students, extremely helpful and one of the probably best features that we've encountered in the pilot so far. Inviting guests, especially when you have courses that are particularly related to fields or authentic learning experiences, you want to bring in an expert. It's always a little difficult, so finding a good way to do that.
I'm facing that right now. Module 4, we are learning a particular XML for the field of technical communication. It's called DITA. Anyway, but they have two excellent people as outside experts to help. But I could give them roles inside of Moodle and bring them in, but we can't do that in Canvas.
Yeah, right now, it's not as easy to give them or limit roles like you can in Moodle and just allow them to participate in forums, for example. Right now, that's not an option.
So to do that, beginning next week, I'm going to have to transition my students from using the Canvas to come over here to Google Docs and to a shared environment, and everyone every student has, it's not that Google Docs are new, but that's another thing where these are key things that I'm looking for in terms of capabilities in an LMS.
And then again, we touched on analytics and giving feedback, evaluation, grading, and that Canvas has been a much better experience in both of those areas as well.
What are the things that when you teach and you help and you say it has to have such and such?
So I just want to make sure I'm not saying this good at all. Have you used Workshop in Moodle?
Yeah, so Callie is wondering if Anne has used Workshop in Moodle, and I'm pretty sure the answer is no. I have used Workshop in Moodle, and it is a peer review option, and it actually has some nice elements to it that are lacking in Canvas, as far as giving students, right in the workshop tool, having them practice giving feedback, and some other scaffolding pieces when it comes to peer review. But it's kind of a steep learning curve, whereas Canvas was pretty much right off the bat. It was pretty easy.
Yes.
And is that mainly around it's easier in the grading? Sounds like the grading is just easier, period.
It was easier in the grading, sorry, but also just the being able to write and give comments directly on the written assignment, or even it was able to handle some HTML pieces. And so students were able to, highlight or circle or annotate things right within the system, as well as being very clear to the student who was giving the feedback. It's, oh, this comment is from, the professor, this comment is from my peer reviewer.
That makes me think of a screenshot I should have used instead for that peer review where, where students, yes, they can highlight, they can, much as we can on different PDFs and things.
As part of
Yes.
this evaluation, are you looking at any of the other Unison-based tools that will be, especially the analytic tools that will be better utilized, I guess, through Canvas than Moodle?
So the question is, are we looking at the other Unison tools or piloting any of them? And well, the answer is you will be.
I would love to. I have no idea what those are.
Well, and you're going to be doing Snapshot.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm doing one of these? No?
Yes, you would. Well,
Okay.
anyway, so yes. So Snapshot, which is the learning analytics, but it's, it's in a very, beta early format. But we're not using Engage. We're not using Pressbooks or I think the other tools that are out there. We had looked at Engaged, but decided it wasn't appropriate for this graduate course.
Okay, Engage uses a database that's on Amazon Web Services.
I think that's the data warehouse, and not Engage is the content delivery system. The libraries have been working on piloting.
I'm thinking of Elevate. No, that's
So many amazing tools at the university.
it. No, I'm thinking of one that is developed by for
Okay.
the analytics of all the
Oh, okay. So, and that is what's, I just don't always know what they're called underneath it all. But I'm certainly up for the better understanding and use of more of the analytics components, because I think that was always part of the promise at the beginning of this, as I understood it at the time.
Is that to be part of the decision-making process?
Okay.
What I'm
Oh, well, I don't think we're.
I'm not on Ulta.
Yeah, we're not on Ulta, so we cannot answer that.
You're we're very willing to talk and visit with anyone. So on this slide, as I was thinking about this, the Moodle Canvas discussion, then I was thinking, well, what are the criteria underlying this decision for the university at this time? I mean, I remember the criteria well from previous iterations, but I'm wondering what are the criteria now? Some that I wrote down: access, so open source or not, cost benefit analysis. I'm sure that's being talked about. Effectiveness, its impact on student learning. That's the most important for me. I also know that there's always a political frame, and so yes, we're part of Unison. I remember working with Brad Wheeler in Indiana as a CIO, and I remember when all of these things were envisioned. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I know there's a political frame here, but what percentage of the decision it weighs in on that as well? So my question, of course, is how might faculty, staff, students, how might all of us best assist, in making this decision? And so I'm very pleased with the Ulta announcement, and that direction. I said as a sort of a final comment here, I think, if someone had to say yes or no, I think the university should move to Canvas. But I have maybe a slightly different take on that. Ann and I were visiting the other day, and I said, by doing these, yes, it's a great deal of angst across the system, but the wonderful effect is everyone has to look at their teaching and learning. And by that, looking at it and rethinking it with a slightly better tool, maybe it doesn't have to be this much better than, you do that. And when you do that, you improve teaching and learning. So my vote would be yes. But I don't know, what would your vote be at this point?
I
Sorry,
think I will
we didn't say this, but
refrain from voting.
Okay.
I think there are benefits to either tool, and ultimately it's the importance of the teaching and the interactions that are happening between faculty and students to students that make it a rewarding, enriching learning experience. And I think either of them can do that.
But to do so, we need the support at all the different levels. Shannon helps me in my department, in the program, and you guys help me at the college level, and all of you help at the university level, and libraries, and so on. We need everybody in on that. So that's our the conclusion of our any more Q&A? Yes.
Is there anything you wanted to do in Canvas that you found you couldn't do? And the alternative, is there anything you discovered in Canvas that you were really excited to do that you hadn't been able to do before?
So what were we able to do in Canvas that we couldn't do in Moodle, and what did we discover that we couldn't do in Canvas but we could in Moodle?
I would just reiterate, a couple of key points earlier. The peer review / evaluation, all of that has been a bonus the whole way through for students as well as myself. May be able to do that in Moodle. Will I go back to Moodle to try to figure that out at this point? Probably not. I don't know the process for getting approval for my online course this spring that I would really hope to do in Canvas. Again, I depend on, we are a connected people, so I very much depend on bringing in outside experts very quickly, especially if students say, hey, I'm kind of interested in this. Okay, I know this person from here, let's bring them in. That I'm ending up having to meet with that person, do a video, post the video or something, or a WebEx common session, some things like that, rather than allowing them to join that threaded conversation. The invited expert thing again. Right, right.
A couple of things
At
that
least I don't know how.
just stood out for me are groups within Canvas. So Canvas handles groups and group sets, but limiting content to certain groups, so only having your graduate students read these 4 articles or that sort of thing. You can't really do in Canvas. You can say, these are for the graduate students, don't bother reading them. But so it doesn't have, again, some of the nuanced pieces that Moodle does. And, but I think one of the benefits of using Canvas, I don't know if this is how you felt, Anne, was I think it's very easy and user-friendly. Like, I think you felt pretty enabled and comfortable early on. Just being able to, the way you can add files or add links to assignments, or maybe not add files, because there's this issue with that, but add assignments or discussions, and it's linked right there. You don't have to copy and paste the URL if you're trying to do some different design pieces. So I think there's some flexibility there. It also could potentially lead to some very broad and disorganized sites because there are components all over that aren't necessarily well navigated. So I think those are kind of the immediate things that come to mind.
And I know we need to, I'm assuming we need to conclude. I just want to end by thanking you, Emily, because here we were working to design 5 online courses as part of an online graduate certificate in scientific and technical communication. And to have your help in leading all of us as faculty through the workshops, and then working both with Moodle and with and now with Canvas. It is a journey, and you make it a lot easier.
Well, thank you.
Thank you to all of you.